Hello, listeners. I'm your host, Jeff Hatter. Thank you for tuning in to Yerba Travels Podcast, the place that delivers all the marvelous wonders of our beautiful world from first-hand accounts of people who live in these exotic places. After listening, head over to yerbatravels.com to find out more cool information. That's yerbatravels.com. And don't forget to subscribe and join the Yerba Travels community. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's conversation. All right, my guest today is joining us. She's a native of the Rainbow Nation, better known as South Africa, and her name is Michelle, but she's actually an expat living in Vietnam, and that's what she's going to share with us today. So, Michelle, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Jeff and I have known each other for a really long time. I lived in Korea before and was actually very good friends with Jeff's wife, now wife. So that's how Jeff and I know each other. And he asked me to just come on to the show and speak about living in Vietnam. I've been here this is my sixth year. I hate saying this number. Sixth year.
It's a tongue twister,
here.
isn't it?
Woo, my goodness, and I'm sober. I'm an English language teacher, but I'm very fortunate to work in one of the biggest international schools in the country.
What's the name of the school?
It's the British International School of Ho Chi Minh.
Okay.
They're part of the Nord Anglia Education Group, which is growing year on in and out. I teach a range of different nationalities from all around the world, and I specialize in teaching children from 4 to 8 years old.
The
little ones, yeah. But yes, I should actually probably broaden my horizons a bit more and teach the older kids as well. Not that I've got anything against them. I've just, you gravitate to what's easiest for you, I suppose.
Do you have an option at your school to float around like that? To kind of jump?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. I suppose everyone's different, but I do prefer to teach a year group for like a couple of years and then move on to a different year group to learn more about how they operate and the different content that you teach. And, you just get more experienced as a teacher that way. But there are other teachers in the school that have stayed in the same year groups for quite a while. I just know. Anyway, but the school's amazing.
Well, I'm curious. You mentioned you teach different ethnic groups that are kind of mixed in the international school, or nationalities.
Yes.
What kind of nationalities are at the international school?
Well, at the international school, there are like 48.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Not all of those kids would be needing English language teaching. So the kids teach a lot of Vietnamese students, Korean, Chinese, Russian, I've had a Czechoslovakian, Czech Republic, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Thailand, Japanese.
So it sounds like they're mostly Asian, from Asian countries?
Mostly Asian, because a lot of the European schools teach English from a young age. So the children learn how to speak English as their second language quite proficiently by the time, they are 5 years old or something. So, or they might be a little bit shaky in English when they're 5, but then they come to an English speaking school and then they pick it up easily. So then they're fine.
Yeah.
So a lot of the European schools are, we've had some Spanish, like South Americans. We've had
that's what I was curious.
Colombians,
Colombians.
There's been a Colombian, Argentinian, Brazilian. So
awesome.
They are, in the school we have International Week, which is coming up next term in January. It's an insane week where basically the children celebrate their cultures. And just, we have one day where it's like the International Parade Day and they all dress up in their traditional outfits, their traditional clothing, and it's just such an amazing
Cool.
experience, just to see all of them. And then there's also like the global cafe that they have, and all the mums in the PCG make specific, their specific traditional foods and things, and you can go, oh, it's amazing. You walk around and you can sample all these authentic foods from all around the world. It's quite an experience. So yeah, it's where I work is amazing. It's a great school, and I'm very, very lucky to have the job that I have. And we always say, my husband and I, like, we are very fortunate to live in Vietnam, and especially during COVID, because they've handled it insanely well. Like, we're very, very fortunate. And like, one of your questions is coming is like misconceptions that, one of the misconceptions that people or foreigners might have about Vietnam. I think one of the things that a lot of people think, is that it's a communist country. But
Right.
don't feel like I'm in a communist country ever. Never, ever. I mean, I've grown up in South Africa, which has been pretty hostile, in a democracy or whatever. But like, quite some things grew up in South Africa. And then when I moved to Korea, it was also like a completely different experience. Like living in a place like Korea, which is so safe and everything. And then when we came to Vietnam, I traveled in Vietnam before we actually lived here. So again, my expectations were completely shattered when I traveled just for 2 weeks in the country, just based on like what I envisioned it to look like, the country itself. But we'll talk about that another time. But just in terms of like the people, and I thought, okay, communist country, you think, oh, it's going to be pretty strict and there's going to be curfews and stuff. Not at all. Not at all. And it's just a lovely place to live, really. You don't even think about governments and any issues like that at all. Not a problem. Politics aren't a thing that
So
I'm
it's not
aware of.
like the communist politics and all that hasn't really spilled into the streets where you see it
No,
daily.
because
They're
I
not.
remember in Korea, you were quite aware of like the North and South. Like,
Right.
I remember being in Daegu, and there were people like our Korean friends were worried that there were going to be like strikes from North Korea,
Yep.
up in Seoul. We were quite far away from Seoul in Daegu, but I remember there being at least 2 different occasions. So I lived there 4 years, 2 different occasions where we were all like, "Ooh, okay." I remember some people's families were messaging them to say, "Please come home. We don't feel like you're safe in Korea or whatever." And it was always still safer than being in South Africa. So I wasn't too worried. But yeah, you'd never get anything like that in Vietnam. Never.
There's no
Never, ever.
tension. There's nothing.
Nothing.
Wow. Okay.
I know. Nothing. And yeah, I mean, I read the news more now, like, the Vietnamese newspapers and stuff. I read that more than I did in Korea, about the Korean news. So
Why do
I'm,
you think that
like,
is?
I think maybe I've just become more savvy with social media.
Okay.
And I mean, also phones and stuff have developed as well. Like, I remember being in Korea and I had like a snap phone,
Yes.
like, the ones that snap open and stuff, like
Foldable phones.
a smartphone was like, you need to be earning some dollar to like get one of those. But now, however many years on, 6 years on, it's a whole nother story. So you've got like social media more readily available to you, don't you? Okay, next thing I've got here, day in the expat life.
Yeah, that's what
So
I'm curious. You just talked about how it's the communists aren't overtaking everything, and it seems
no.
pretty free. I've traveled there as well, and we've been to visit you and stuff. But what is it like to be an expat there? Is it a daily life?
All right. Well, we all live in beautiful apartments, newly built apartments. They're like complexes dotted around. When I first moved to Vietnam, I lived in the city center. in a block of flats, block of apartments, which was really like spaced out or whatever, like spacious. And now we've moved closer to work, sort of out of the city into more of the suburbs, into an expat suburb, let's call it that. And yeah, there's these beautiful like apartment block towers that we live in. So I have a very so I want to talk about a day of work and then a weekend. They're very different. So when Monday to Friday we go to work, it takes me 8 minutes on my motorcycle, my little scooter, my moped, to get to work. And then yeah, we have school I've got to be in school by 7:30. I'm out of school by 4. And then you go to the gym. There's a lot of gyms around. There's a lot of like yoga studio places in nature. There's tons of HIIT workout places that you can go to. Like my husband likes to do that. There's a CrossFit gym you could choose to go to. There's quite a variety of things around. I just go to the gym. I'm just old school that way. But yeah, there's loads of sport. People play like netball, Gaelic football, soccer / football, rugby. It's honestly there's so much sport here. It's crazy. So yeah, you could go do sport or something, and then come home and chill. Cook dinner, or we've got like the delivery services, that the apps that you get that you could order food from a restaurant to your door.
Are those pretty efficient? Those apps that the delivery, like here in Korea, you can get just about anything.
Literally at the moment, literally anything. Yeah. You can order anything. It's crazy. Nice. But at the moment, we're transitioning between like a good old faithful app that got bought out by a bigger, badder company, and now they've tried to, I don't know, they've messed with something good, I think. Anyway, so we're still adjusting. I know, I'm just like, why go ruin such a good thing?
Yeah.
Anyway, so now I'm landing up cooking more, which is, I suppose, even better. But there's also loads of like meal plan things that you could sign up for, where like you choose your meals for lunch and dinner and it gets delivered to you every day. So you actually don't have to cook. I know. It's been amazing because I'm on maternity leave at the moment, so cooking has been like not a priority. But just to have this meal get delivered to me, a healthy, low carb meal that I've chosen the low carb diet, but you can choose hearty, dairy free, gluten, whatever, vegetarian, comes to you. It's made. It's delicious.
So what is this? What, like, is it a company that you just...
There's companies that have just created these different meal plans that you can sign up for on a weekly basis.
Wow. And what's it usually run per meal? Like what's an average cost per meal?
Oh, now I've got to go to what, dollars now? Oh, wait.
Oh yeah. Currency exchange.
I know. Well, I've got my app. Let me just punch it in.
Oh, nice.
Let's go like, let's say that. So on average, it's about $6 a meal. $6.50.
Wow, that's not too bad.
No, I mean, you're getting salmon and like soba noodles or like avocado and like Mexican bowl or something. So like it's good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we chill and we watch TV or whatever. That's literally a day in the life of work. School night. Weekends are a bit different. Weekends, you could go to the gym in the morning. You could go for brunch somewhere. There's lots of beautiful restaurants, Western restaurants. In Korea, I don't know how much it's changed because I haven't lived there for a long time. But when I did, I struggled with this because Koreans are very much, we must put a Korean spin on it.
Still the same.
Still the same, yeah. So you can't just go to a place and get eggs Benedict. It'll be eggs Benedict with kimchi in it or something, which just, no, I can't. You can ruin it for me. So Korea, I struggled with the restaurant scene. I struggled with it. But here, my gosh, it's quite something. There are so many different restaurants for different cuisines, different types of food, different ways of eating. It's insane. Tapas, French, barbecue. It's mental. Just
well, I can talk about the barbecue. When we came to visit you, we went. I don't remember the name of the barbecue place, but it was spot on barbecue.
neither do I.
Like it.
I don't think it has a name. We kind of just do it.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was spot on. Like it was barbecue. It was Southern barbecue back home. You know, something we'd get somewhere in Kentucky or maybe in Texas, somewhere like that. But it was spot on.
There's an American diner here called Eddie's Diner. He's an American. So he's sorry, I've just been given the baby monitor. So he makes like not waffles, pancakes. He has like all you can eat pancake Wednesdays, and he makes like grits and like gravy and biscuits and things like that, like, you know, typical diner type food. And then there's also just, I mean, I could just go on and on about the food.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely thing to do on a Saturday morning, go for a nice brunch or something.
Yes, it is.
And then in Saigon, we are quite blessed with the weather. We have an eternal summer. There is no such thing as a cold day, ever. So often, you know, you can just go like lie by the pool or something. That's also something fun to do with the family as well, like go play in the pool. Or the beach is not far away. Like you could go away for the weekend, like a 2-hour drive, and you're on the beach. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of that happening. And then if you're single or whatever, or like just you and your partner, there's loads and loads in the evenings, cocktail bars, lovely restaurants, rooftop like city view restaurants and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Like there's so much to do. And there's loads of flea markets on the weekends, pop-up stores, constantly happening all the time. Workshops, like they're often like people will hold like workshops on a weekend for you to make like a leather wallet or something, or a leather workshop.
Oh, that's cool.
I've been to a terrarium making workshop where you make your own little terrarium with the plants. Paint and wine. That's also fun. I've done that before. So yeah, there's loads of different activities to do. Pottery. You could go to like a pottery studio and like make your own whatever.
Is all this available because it's expats putting it on, or is this something that the Vietnam government supports? Like, is it private business?
No. This is just like, it's a mix match, really. It's got nothing to do with the Vietnamese government ever.
Okay.
It's a mix match between foreigners and young Vietnamese artsy guys who like, they have good English and they're confident to like take on groups of expats.
Sure.
But some places, like I remember being at the pottery place, and one person will speak English, I think, and then the others don't necessarily need to speak any English. They'll just help you out. And you know, body language is an amazing thing. So you got that one person that you need to speak or ask questions to, and then you A for away. But there's also so many expats from all over the world who do so many different things here. Whereas in Korea, I did find that most expats were either GIs in the American military or English language teachers,
right,
at a school, an elementary school, a hagwon, or a university. So I didn't really ever meet anybody who wasn't a teacher or a GI.
Well, and part of that is because of the laws that are set up in South Korea. Like a foreigner can't own their own business without having a Korean partner. So you can't own your own business, period. You have to be co-partner in something.
Yeah. You need a Vietnamese partner.
Okay.
But a lot of people here, I don't know, but I mean, there's like Adidas, Nike, all of that. So you get loads of like French guys coming in who are all the designers and stuff. I mean, I've got friends that work in finance that are here working, renewable energy, things like that.
Yeah, you don't see that much in Korea.
No, like people who, I think it's also got a lot to do with like traveling. People travel and then they're kind of like, oh, this place is cool. I'm going to stay here for a bit.
Let's find a job.
And then they're like, well, I'm an artist, so I can teach this and I can do that and I can work in this art place, because there are places that people send their kids to like art, not art school, but like art club or something, you know.
Are they like
And
hagwons in Korea, like
oh
after
yeah,
school
oh yeah, yeah,
academies?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. There's loads of those. That's all normal, it's all the same.
Okay.
But yeah, like it's just there's so much to do on the weekend. It's crazy. The jungle, the Mekong is not far from here. Like it's about a 2-hour drive again in a different direction. And you're in the Mekong. You're in Kat Tien National Park. Like there's gibbons and stuff that if you're really lucky, you'll hear a gibbon. But I've been to like a yoga retreat there for a weekend, which was lovely. Just so many things. Triathlons and stuff. There's a load of those that happen here.
Well,
Sprint triathlons, yeah, cycling events,
yeah,
running,
yeah.
all of that.
And Vietnam's cool because of all the different geography. You've got jungle, you've got beaches, you've got, the
Well,
suburbs like you're talking
this is
about.
what blew my mind when I first traveled to Vietnam. Because what happened, I mean, you watch the movies, you see things, you hear about, Vietnam's history and stuff with the Americans and the war, and you hear of like napalm and all of that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I was like, I actually didn't know much about Vietnam. I kind of like to, if I'm going to a place for the first time, I generally just like to go and experience.
Do you
Because
have to look out for landmines?
not in the city,
Sure,
not in
not
the
in the city,
city.
but if you go
But
out towards the
I'm
jungles.
pretty sure in Da Nang somewhere, if you go out in a rice paddy, you gotta like watch it. I'm pretty sure. Because Da Nang is where it all was. In central Vietnam, that's where it all kicked off. Obviously, it happened here in Saigon, but that was like, that's all being built over now with concrete and whatever. But there's still, like, you could go, I'm sure, there are some mines lying in rice paddies in Da Nang somewhere, in Hoi An, around
Oh, I'm
there, that
sure
whole
there
area
are.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Even in the Mekong,
Oh, I
100%.
bet they laced that too. Yeah. Yeah. They probably lined up with mines on both sides.
Yeah, but anyway, what happened was when I went traveling, I went to Cambodia first, and Cambodia is like, it's got nothing. It's flat, it's dry. You get the odd palm tree. It's just like, okay, there's not much to look at. So I just assumed, being neighboring countries, that they would have similarities that way. I was so wrong. So yeah, Vietnam, like you say, the different geographics of it all. You've got the cities, which are like these huge, massive cosmopolitan. Well, Ho Chi Minh is a huge, massive cosmopolitan jungle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you've got the beaches, the stunning, stunning beaches. You've got Phu Quoc, which is a bone of contention with Cambodia, but it's currently a Vietnamese island, which is absolutely stunning. It's like in the Thai Gulf, it's just sublime. You've got the jungle, you've got Dalat, you've got the mountains there. Oh, it's just insane. And if you drive around, motorcycle tours and riding on motorcycles and seeing the country on a motorcycle is definitely the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but it is, if you are a careful driver, it's not like their roads are busy or anything like that. It's just often just you and whoever you're traveling with on the road, and it's just stunning, stunning, stunning.
Yeah, that's what shocked me about those Southeast countries like Vietnam and Thailand is once you get out of the city, there's not a lot of traffic. Like it's pretty wide open. You'll see cars here and there, but there's rarely traffic.
Well, yeah, like I do find, well, the roads leaving Saigon at the moment are all being built in stages. So if you want to go to Mune, which is it's a 4-hour drive away, but it's a long strip of beach and it's quite built up. It's got loads of restaurants and hotels and stuff. It's quite a resort area. There's an expressway that is built, like a proper expressway that you and I are used to in our respective countries.
Mm-hmm.
But it only goes up to like a certain point, and then you turn left, you turn right, and you get onto the old road. And the old road is full of twists and turns and cars, potentially like motorcycles driving towards you on the wrong side of the road, and dogs running out into the road. That there's a large portion of that leaving Saigon. But I remember we drove from Nha Trang to Dalat on motorcycles, my husband and I. And that was dead quiet. Often just the two of us, you know,
Yep.
out into the countryside with the mountains. It was just, I remember us being in a cloud once. It was crazy. With these beautiful passes, these coastal passes, and that you can drive around, and just for a day, even from Hoi An, you go to the Hai Van Pass.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes Hoi An, Da Nang, and a little bit further than Da Nang. It's a stunning stretch of road, and it's totally, totally safe, totally doable in a day. Like, and then, yeah, in the north, you've got Sapa, which is all the rice paddies. I've never been. We're going after Christmas. I'm super, super excited. And it's going to potentially snow. It's got the highest mountain there called Mount Fancy Pan.
Called what?
Oh, I'm so excited.
What's the mountain called?
Huh? Fancy Pan.
Oh, I thought you said fancy pants.
It should be that.
Fancy pan.
But yeah, so Vietnam is just absolutely gorgeous. That
Yeah.
was like another misconception as well. I mean, again, that was just my conception of what I thought it was going to be like. I mean, I'm not that everyone else would think that.
Yeah.
But there's also like, in terms of the people, there's no you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not racism, but that foreigners are not treated differently, and they're not treated badly. And Vietnamese people are always willing to help. Like, I had a friend who, thought her crazy, she is. She decided she was going to run from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh and raise money. I know. Hanoi
How
to Ho
far
Chi
is
Minh.
that? Good Lord.
2,200 kilometers. I know. And she was raising money for human trafficking and for like children, disadvantaged children and stuff. And she did it. 6 months. It took her 6 months. But this is what I want to tell you. So she ran with a backpack on her back, with a little tent inside, and like there were like groups of people that would meet her on the weekends at different spots and stuff to like give her if she needed a change of clothes or something, or like every 2 weeks. Anyway, but she never ever once in the entire time that she ran, she never once had to use that tent, because she always found a place to stay, if it was for free or at a discounted rate or something. Because I mean, obviously she was on a budget. Right. She would always put up like the good deed of the day, like some man would help her like get across a river. Some river had flooded and she needed to get across it, but obviously she didn't have the means to, and he would put her on his boat and take her across, or buy her a banh mi or something, or give her food for free. There's always somebody, like helping her. And that just describes the Vietnamese people. And also another thing that just shows testament to how they are as a nation is they work together. Like this COVID situation, if there are 95 million people who live in this country, it is an incredibly long country as well. So people are spaced out. But when you are in the cities here, there's something stupid like 17 million people that live in Ho Chi Minh. So with COVID, and a lot of those people, it's a developing country, a lot of those people are poor. So they don't have money for medicine or hospital bills or, things like that. Healthcare. A thing like COVID could absolutely destroy a country like Vietnam. And I think that's probably why they were so strict on closing their borders and everything. But when it came to abiding by protocols, wearing a mask, sanitizing their hands, not going out during lockdown, like just, following the rules, everybody did it. Everybody worked together and everybody did what they were supposed to do. to help each other. And then I don't even think they've hit 2,000 cases of COVID ever. Total.
Wow.
There's only 35 deaths. Only 35 deaths.
There's something to learn from that.
I know. And like literally last week, there was a mini outbreak. A flight attendant had come in from Japan, and they had tested negative, but then they were told to go home to self-isolate. They didn't. They weren't negative, and they started a cluster. Ho Chi Minh managed to track and trace like stupid amounts of people, 2,000 people, something like that, that were all tracked and traced to this person in a week, tested all those people, and only like 5 people had COVID. So they were able to like quarantine or self-isolate, quarantine those people, test them. So far, majority of them have come back with negatives, first test. So they'll still be in quarantine for 14 days, but like so far so good.
Right.
But that's how quickly, and like everybody works together, you know, like nobody's, it's crazy. So yeah, like the Vietnamese people are just,
Do the foreigners and the expats, do they fall in line as well?
I mean,
or do they complain, don't trace me? And
I mean, do you know what it is? It is slightly scary. Like, the quarantine facilities here are military quarantine facilities. So you don't they're not like, there's no like frills about them. It's literally like a bunk bed with like the thinnest mattress on the earth, and you're lucky if you get a pillow situation. You get fed the food they feed you. You're sharing a room with people. Like it's not pretty. So it's quite scary. So I think some foreigners, yes, absolutely. When the first waves were hitting, I definitely don't think people came forward, honestly, because they knew they weren't ill. Like they knew they weren't ill. I don't know, but again, asymptomatic, it's a bit hard, such a tricky one. But there was definitely times during COVID. That's actually the only time I've ever known any foreigner bashing while I've lived here, is basically like not just like I'm talking foreigners, like Vietnamese bashing Koreans, bashing Japanese, like not Westerners. I'm just talking foreigners, all foreigners, not Vietnamese. So yeah, but other than that, everyone's just so helpful. Like I remember I've been like, my bike's broken down on the side of the road or something, and like a little man will come along on his motorbike and he'll give me a little push along to wherever he can give me a push along to, like the closest mechanic or something, just for nothing.
Well, I think I've talked to a lot of people about misconceptions in different countries, and those are two things that I think people really, really misconceive about other countries. One, it's how that country is. Like we get perceptions based on movies, based on TV shows, based on all these things that make up situations, right?
Yeah. They could stereotype.
They make a stereotype, even though it could be loosely based on historical, wars or whatever it may be. But the first is the misconception of the culture and the way the country's run. The second one is the people. Like one of the biggest fears people have is, I can't travel. Somebody's going to steal my things, or I'm going to get hurt or mugged or this or that. I mean, that's not going to happen, right? I mean, if you're a smart traveler,
you've got to be really unlucky and really stupid as well. Like if you're walking around with your phone in your hand, like on the edge of the pavement on the sidewalk, like hanging out in the road, someone's going to drive past and nick it out your hand. I mean, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
And I mean, petty crime does happen, but that's it. That's
exactly. Yep.
That is it. It's not America. It's not the UK. It's definitely not South Africa. Like Korea was the same. Also, so safe. I remember. So one of the things I always tell people is just how much of a change of mindset I had to get moving from South Africa. So I left South Africa when I was 25. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in South Korea, and you jet lagged. I mean, you don't know what day it is. I think it was like I'd spent one whole day in my apartment, and then it came to the nighttime, and I was like, okay, cabin fever. I need
Yeah.
to leave
Get out
this
of here.
room.
Yeah.
But it was nighttime, and I was like, woo, I don't walk on the streets at night. Like, that's just not her. You don't do that in South Africa. You don't walk on the streets at night. I'm from Durban,
Right.
so,
Oh.
But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think in most places, I mean, you don't walk on the streets anyway. So
Right.
I eventually plucked up the courage to go outside and walk, go outside and walk. And it was nerve-wracking, man. And then I did it, and I was like, okay, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad. Like, I'm not joking. That is how I was about walking on the streets at night. Now, don't
Goodness.
even think twice. Don't even think twice about walking on the streets at night. But if I go back home to South Africa, I would not do it.
Yeah,
No
I
way.
was just going to say, do you think you would slip and go, oh, I can walk around wherever, or I can
No,
set my cell phone down,
no
or I
way.
could,
No.
so you
But
got that instinct
I mean,
still.
oh yeah, I think it's innate. I mean, I did see a meme once. It said, if you've grown up in South Africa, you should put that on your CV. It's like, it's a life skill.
That's a good one.
It really is, like, flip. So I have this second instinct to just be a little bit more sketchy about stuff when I'm around.
At
Like at
home.
night and stuff. I know, but like when my husband gets so bummed as well. When we in South Africa, we were in Cape Town a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we were staying in an Airbnb in the city center, which is one of the only cities you can actually do that in South Africa, by the way. Cape Town, it's still okay to get accommodation in the city center if you're going on holiday. Nowhere else, though. Nowhere else. But anyway, the hotel,
Is
the
that because
restaurant,
those are the only houses with locks on the doors, or?
I don't know. I just think I have no idea why. I can't tell you why, but I don't know. It's a strange little phenomenon about South Africa. But the restaurant we were going to was only 700 meters away, but we had to get an Uber.
In
Like,
Cape Town?
in Cape Town, it's at night in the city. Like Ali would be like, "Oh, it's only 700 meters away," and I'm like, "Not a chance. I'm not walking 700 meters. That's a long way to go." No. I was like, "I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how much it costs or how little it costs." But also the Uber drivers, they know people won't walk, so they monopolize on that as well. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very safe here, and it's not. There's nothing. Yeah, I don't even know. There's nothing to worry about here. Petty crime obviously happens, but
That happens everywhere. That
it
happens
happens
everywhere.
everywhere. There's nowhere in
Yeah.
the world that doesn't happen.
Yeah. But the other one is
I'm
the
trying to think.
people. You talked about the
Yeah.
people. And that's another thing that kind of shocks me. I guess because we've traveled so much, and the people that I talk to are expats who have traveled so much, but people who don't travel very often seem to be worried about the locals. And from my take, in the city, you're going to have your little thugs or hoodlums, whatever, your
Yeah,
little
you're gonna have your
rats.
little. There's the Vietnam Mafia. Don't forget. There is the Vietnam Mafia, but that just happens to be in Saigon,
Yeah.
and that's territorial.
And you're going to get that. You probably have that in New York, or probably parts of London have things like
South
that, little
Africa, you've got
gangs
gangs everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere.
But
But I
what
mean,
people
one thing
don't
about
realize is when you get out of that city, like that's
yeah,
actually where it's a bit safer. And people are like,
yeah,
I can't leave the city. I'm protected. And really the safety is when you're outside.
for sure. Because one thing I've written down here is that the people of Vietnam are very trusting, So for an example, if you want to hire so you say you want to do, I mentioned before, the Haivan Pass, which you can do from Hoi An, which is a beautiful tourist town in central Vietnam. You fly into Da Nang, where the war was basically at, and then you drive 30 minutes south and you are in Hoi An. Now you can hire a motorbike for the day to do the Haivan Pass and come back. The motorbike is full of petrol when you get it, gas. And the guy, he just gave us keys. There was 4 of us, gave us keys to each bike. We had helmets, and I think he just asked us if we knew how to drive, if we had experience.
Yep.
And we all had. We weren't lying, because if you lie about that, you're a bit silly. And off we went, and we came back later in the day, and we paid however much money it was. We returned the bike with a full tank of gas, full tank of petrol.
That's one of the requirements, right? You have to return it with a full tank. Yeah.
And that was it. And that was that. Done. Job done. In Thailand, you cannot do that. In Thailand, you will have to hand over your passport.
Yep.
And they will walk around the bike before
and after
with a check sheet to, like, if there were any bumps before, they'd put like a circle in that area of the picture of the bike. And then when you return the bike, they check it first. And then if there is any scratches that they hadn't seen before, you've got to pay. Otherwise, they won't give you your passport.
Yep, that's true. Very true.
And that happens. I mean, luckily, I have never been in a situation where I've had to pay, but I've watched 2 people. All they've done is just hit a wobbly in some sand, and like the bike has just fallen over. Not a crash, nothing crazy. Bike has just fallen over, and a little bit of the bodywork has been scratched. Nothing crazy. But they want to charge like 10,000 baht, which is, I don't even know how much that is, but that's an insane amount of money. And you've got to pay it then and there. Otherwise, you don't get your passport.
Exactly.
No.
It's like you're a hostage.
So, I just feel like they're just so trusting. Like, we'll cross that bridge if that happens. But I trust these people. They're going to return my bike in one piece. It's just, so much.
Fascinating.
I have left my keys in my moped on more than one occasion. Gone into, I don't know, the shop or something, come out, and I've got an old Vietnamese man going, woo! And he's basically seen my keys, but he's gone and kept guard of my bike just in case, somebody tried to steal it. Yeah. I was just like, oh, you're such a sweet man. Yeah, I can talk about like how many, like, just they're so trusting and just such lovely people. The Vietnamese, yeah, for sure. I'm trying to see what else here. Yeah. What do I enjoy about the culture?
Yeah. What shocked you? So how about those 2? Why don't you tell us what you really enjoy? And like you said, all the misconceptions earlier, like what has really shocked you about the culture?
I think it's hard to shock me at this stage of my expat life.
What, coming from South Africa?
I've seen a lot. And in my travels, really. I think.
Is there anything that's really cool about the Vietnamese culture that you wish people knew about? Like the dance,
first thing that comes to mind is their traditional dress. They wear these beautiful dresses called aoyas. It's a 2-piece. They've got like long silk, long satin, like flowy trousers, and then they've got like a long flowy, like long sleeved, thin, very thin materialed blouse that goes with it, like top half, with these beautiful patterns on, or they're embroidered, and then, oh my goodness, just so beautiful. to the point where I actually got my mother one made to wear to my wedding. Like my mother wore an awia, a beautiful like pink embroidered awia to my wedding. Stunning. So honestly, just so elegant and things. So now they wear the awia twice a year. So for Moon Festival, which has just happened, so that's like the autumn spring moon.
Okay.
That festival. Spring, autumn, I don't know. Autumn. Sorry, I'm working out the hemispheres here. It's autumn. So the autumn festival, and there's a lovely little story that goes about the moon and how. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say what I think it is because I might get it wrong, and then I don't want to get it wrong.
Do you know the name of the story? We can put it out there.
I don't know it in Vietnamese. It's just the moon, the autumn moon festival, the autumn moon
okay.
story. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I should know this because there's actually a play every single year at school. And I have to wear an awia every single year. And they eat these moon cakes. They make these lovely, lovely little cakes that are either sweet or savory, and they give them as gifts. That's the Moon Festival. And then the other big holiday in Vietnam is Tet, which is their Lunar New Year. And Tet is all about giving money. And the concept behind Tet is that people try to pay off all their debts and stuff before the year is over so that they start their new year debt free, and that's good luck and lucky and all that jazz. So giving Tet money is a big, big part of the Lunar New Year, which I think is kind of like Solna in Korea as well. They give money to the kids, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Not necessarily for debt, but that's that's
the
pretty
money
cool about the
giving
culture.
thing. It involves money.
Yeah.
But here everybody gives money, and like for instance, if you have any people like we have a cleaner and we have a nanny, so we would give them like a 13th check. Like that
we
would
do
be
the same.
That would be their bonus for Tet.
Yeah.
And that's a relatively long holiday as well. And red is a big one for like the Tet colors, like red. But I think that's also the same for the Chinese New Year as well.
Yeah,
and that is when it basically Tet is basically when Vietnam comes to a standstill. Things stop. Things shut. It's the most quiet like the city will ever be. There's no traffic. It's crazy. It's like a ghost town. Like everyone just goes to their home. You don't want to fly over Tet because the airports are rammed. That's where everyone goes, the airport. And then they all go to their hometowns. So the cities are so quiet because everyone doesn't come from the cities. They all come from different places. Culture, what shocked me? I can't say anything. Okay, yes, this has shocked me. So there are parts in northern Vietnam that still eat dog.
Dog?
And possibly cat as well. So that's quite a shocker.
Is that based on like culture and tradition, or is that based on like poverty? You know, what's
I think it's become like it's considered a speciality. Like
it's a specialty.
It's a specialty, like dish. You know, I haven't, to be honest with you, it revolts me. So haven't really paid too much attention as to what it is and why, and I just wanted to stop.
Are those like dog farms, like a cow farm, or are they, you know?
No, I don't know, Jeff. I seriously don't know. I haven't read much about it because it would just make me sad. You know, I know
Well, that
it's like
makes a
sticking
lot
your
of
head in the
people
sand.
sad. Yeah.
I know it's like sticking your head in the sand, but I know, yeah, it's a horrible thing to think about, really. And I know,
I
no.
think
So yeah, that's a shocker.
that really depends on how you perceive it. Like if you perceive it as a farm where they grow cattle and pigs and that, like people eat bacon and steak, and you picture a
I
dog
know,
farm like
I
that,
know,
not
I
like
know.
locked in a cage and beaten with sticks and stuff. Not that
I think
style.
I think it's the latter.
Oh, now that's sad.
That's what I think. That's the impression I get.
Yeah,
I know,
that's a shame.
I know, yeah. Well, yeah,
But you said
it
it's a
is.
delicacy. It's a special thing. So it's not like are there I'm assuming there's not tons of restaurants. These are like specialty restaurants that you go to.
Yeah, no, it's not like
Okay.
it's not. No,
Mm.
no, no. There's, the odd restaurant here and there, but not crazy. But still, oh, just the whole premise of it all, I just
Well,
don't
that
like
gives
it.
people the kind of chills. But are there other foods, other animals, like in Korea? Uh, I've actually tried donkey. They have
Oh,
horse meat. Goat is really big. In
wow.
Vietnam, are there any other kind of specialty
Mm.
foods like that?
Well, I mean, frogs are pretty well eaten,
Mm,
widely eaten
I love
here.
frog.
Frogs.
Frog legs.
You can like
Mm.
you can get a set of frog legs on the barbecue
Oh,
easily.
love it.
There's that weird egg, that like fertilized egg thing. Do you know in Korea they eat it as well? It's like it's like they've boiled a fertilized egg.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
So basically, a fertilized egg would have a chicken in it,
Yeah,
like a chick embryo,
like a
and then
like growing.
yeah, so when they open it, it's like you can see, but it's not. I don't know. I've never eaten it, but it's not. I don't know how to explain. I suppose it's been boiled, so it's pretty soft when you bite it, but it's disgusting. But
So
they
it's not
believe
just
that
the
it's just
yolk. You
like,
can see something in the yolk, or the
no,
yolk
you
is
can
actually
see
changed.
like you can see the bird.
Oh my goodness.
I swear they have it in Korea.
You might be right. I don't know. I
But
haven't had
anyway,
that or
I
seen it.
think the myth is if you are pregnant or you are trying to conceive, you should eat them.
Okay, so it's tied to some tradition or some
Yeah.
kind of not
Um,
myth, but what do they call it? Oh, I can't off the top of my head. I don't know.
superstition.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
I was stuck there for a bit. Trying to think
Superstition.
what else. So they eat, yes. No, I think apart from snails, they eat a lot of duck. There's a lot of duck. And unfortunately, you see a lot of these animals on the freeways when you're driving to places like Mune or the beach 2 hours away. You will see freight trucks with animals in,
Yeah.
ducks, pigs,
And feathers flying everywhere off the back of
feathers
the
flying
truck.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't, apart from frog, I can't, my mind is not letting me think about, no, I don't think there's anything else too strange. Obviously,
Frog.
dogs and cats.
Frog's pretty unique to a lot of people,
It is
but
a
they're big
unique
on
one.
seafood, right?
Very big on seafood.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's loads of seafood restaurants. Crab, they love crab. Crab, clams, cockles, those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, any Vinmart, which is like the equivalent of a Walmart. No, maybe I'm talking rubbish.
Like a
Basically,
big
well,
market.
Vinmart's got, yeah, like a big supermarket.
Yeah.
They will have a wet section. They will have
Mm.
tanks with live crabs in, live shrimp in, live mussels in, fish swimming around, different types of clams, just in water, ready to be taken and bought
Mm.
and taken home. So that's in like your standard supermarket, normal to see. And then there's seafood restaurants and stuff as well. but
So
Vietnamese food
tell,
is,
tell us about
yeah,
that barbecue. You sent me a picture a few weeks ago about this
uh,
kind of barbecue that was on a beach. And you
yeah,
went to this long
yeah,
table, this ice table where you got to pick out the seafood and all this, and they barbecued it on the
yeah,
spot, right?
yeah. So basically, I mean, in the beach, well, yeah, on the beaches in Vietnam, more the touristy places, so Mune, which would be the closest one to us here, or Hoi An, and then of course Phu Quoc.
Mm.
And then Queen On is also another beachy place, and Nha Trang. So those are all the beachy places. And then a lot, I mean, fishing is a massive livelihood for a lot of locals.
Yeah.
Going out every day to fish is their job. And they will then sell obviously their catch of the day to the hotels or restaurants and things. And then they put them out on these beautiful like platters, and you can, on the menu it'll say like barbecue catch of the day or whatever, and you can go up and you can choose your fish, and then they weigh it, and then they barbecue it for you and bring it to you, and with whatever side you choose to have with it.
That's
So
awesome.
it's really, really fresh. Yes, it's
Yeah.
so good. Super fresh. Um, Things like, I mean, there are a lot of, I suppose, I don't know why in Vietnam it is this way, but for example, that barbecue that you and I went to, that I took you and your wife to when you came to Saigon.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have shrimp,
Yeah.
prawns,
Yeah.
whatever they were, but they'll there's no like sort of guidelines as to how you should kill those creatures. So in Vietnam, they don't really care about that kind of stuff. So those creatures that we barbecued were alive mere seconds before they came to our table. Then they were skewered, which I shouldn't laugh at, but they were skewered
They do that in
while
Korea,
they were
the
alive,
live
and then they
shrimp.
get
Yeah.
barbecued. So it's
Yep.
just, it's an animal rights activist
Yeah. I'll
flipping
probably get,
nightmare.
yeah, people
So I do
angry that
find,
I'm laughing.
there are things like that in Vietnam that are a bit like, oh, okay, that's
But you got to
happening.
remember, it's their culture.
Yeah,
We can't take everything from the West and impose it
no,
on every
no,
culture. There are
for
some
sure.
things that you can be angry about, but you got to deal with it because it's not your culture, it's not your say. It's you
Mm,
know they have yeah
yeah.
they have that over here, and you probably had the I believe they call it sannakchi, that live octopus. They just cut the legs and
Oh
it
my
keeps
gosh.
moving,
Now I
or
never,
the
I was,
shrimp.
no, I could never ever eat that, but I watched a friend of mine do it one day. It was
It's good.
very entertaining. It was very entertaining for me.
I
I don't know how
bet.
great it was for him because he had quite a struggle with this octopus tentacle.
Oh, they
He was
sucker.
trying.
They stick
Yeah.
to your mouth and everywhere.
Mm-mm. No, I just know myself too well. I was like, no, I will not be able to deal with that thing. I also don't think they tasted like anything either. Hey, did they?
No, they don't have much of a taste. You
No.
got to dip them in the like
Yeah,
sesame
basically,
oil
whatever
or
sauce it is
salt.
that you dip it in is what it's going to taste like.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is true. They had the live octopus. Oh, that was quite an experience. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, yeah, but just in general, Vietnamese food is just amazing. I wasn't a big
Yes.
fan of Korean food because I'm very much a person who, if it doesn't smell right or tasty or whatever, I won't eat it.
Mm.
And Korean food and kimchi just never really, kimchi does not smell great in my sensory world. So I just didn't want to eat anything. There were things that I ate, but I didn't eat a lot of Korean food. And the spiciness as well was also a gamble every time. You
Yeah,
didn't
that's
really
something I've
know what
gotten
you were
used
going to
to.
get.
Yeah.
Mm-mm,
Yeah.
no. But Vietnamese food, I can see the chili. I pick it up and I move it away and it's done. You know, like I know there's going to be nothing else hiding in there and it's going to be delicious. And it's just fresh herbs. It's just so, even in the heat that we have all year round, eating a hot bowl of pho, oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's just so tasty. So
Yeah.
I really love the Vietnamese food. And I love learning how to make it and stuff as well. And yeah, it's really, really great cuisine for sure. So we are lucky to have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also just remembered one more thing that's quite something that's will shock people about Vietnam is the air pollution is really bad.
Really?
So
What caused
yeah,
from what? Why is it bad? A lot of factories?
a lot of construction, a lot of development, a lot of
Mm,
things like that going on. So it's only like, okay, so this is year number 6. So I think only in the last 3 years has it become a problem. In my first couple years, it was never an issue, ever. And I lived in the city center and I worked in the city center. Never an issue. But then more and more and more of these apartment complexes have been going up, and they're building a metro in the city.
yeah, that'll cause it.
They're constantly ripping up roads and laying down something, sorting out sewage issues because it floods here quite badly as well. That's another thing people don't know. Anyway, so the pollution, I mean, I have to check the air. I mean, I can look out the window some days and I can see the city from where my balcony. I can see the city. But some mornings I can't because it's just
Wow.
that thick with fog and smog or whatever it is.
So
So
are a
I
lot of
have to
people
be quite.
wearing masks when they go outside?
There are actually pollution masks that people buy. Like, so before COVID, people were wearing masks for pollution when they drive their bikes and stuff. Um, and so at school, like I mentioned, we've got kids that are 2 years old. So they are like a more sensitive group of
Yeah.
people. So they can only have a certain amount of pollution. So often, if it's a peach day, those little people, they can't go outside to play because they can't. So now I've got a 6 month old baby. So now when my nanny wants to, take him for a walk or something, she's like, "What's the air like?" I've actually got an app on my phone that checks the quality of the air. And if it's orange, he can't go. If it's yellow, it's okay. If it's green, even better.
Yeah.
Very rarely do we have a green day.
Oh no.
So it's not like Beijing bad, but it's getting there. It's like getting bad. Hanoi is really bad. Hanoi is bad. It's right by China though, so that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that's a thing. And then the other thing that people don't know either is that it floods horribly here in the rainy season. Horribly. Like float down the road, flood stuff. Like people's cars. Like a friend of mine says she swears she was in a taxi and the wheels lifted off the ground. It was so
no
it was
way.
so flooded, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it in the rainy season, which is between April and November. We just coming out of it now.
Jeez.
It's not every
Wait,
day.
April to November.
It starts raining in the afternoons for at least 2 hours every day from
8
about
months a year.
April
Jeez.
or May. But then it gets really, really bad in September. From September to November, it like kicks off because that's when all the tropical storms come in from the Philippines. And that's constantly the central Vietnam, Da Nang. Those poor people, they have floods so badly there. Like we get a little bit of floods just because the sewage systems aren't they're not the drainage systems aren't good
Yeah.
here. And a lot of where we are is actually built on swampland. So that's why we flood. But they've got like actual storms that hit them. It's really bad. So often we raise funds for people in the Central Highlands just to help them like restart or rebuild their homes or something. It's just really, really sad. They've had a really hard year this year, like with COVID, and then of course storms. It's just been horrific. This year just needs to be over now.
Yes,
But
I
yeah,
think everybody will agree with that.
yeah. So yeah, those are like the things that people wouldn't know and like strange fun
So the
facts.
monsoon season, the heavy rain season, September, October.
I would say the heavy rain, yeah, September, October, possibly even August, September, October.
All right. So those are not the best times to travel to Vietnam.
No, they're not. A lot of people actually, because this year we were all kind of like, not traveling anywhere for the summer
Right.
holidays. Like our school gets the UK summer holidays, so it's about 7 weeks. And usually people go home, to the UK, or for me, sometimes it's South Africa, or you go to like Indonesia. Very good time of the year to go to Indonesia in July. But this year they were stuck here in Vietnam. So I say they all, I just had a baby, so we weren't going anywhere. We were housebound. But our friends and colleagues had a lovely holiday in the month of July in Vietnam. I mean, obviously it rained sometimes, but most of the time it looked lovely. So I'm really glad that, it's good to know that you can still have a decent holiday here in the summer. But my birthday's in September, and every single year I've tried to have a birthday party or a dinner or something. It's been not rained out. I mean, people still come, but it's been a wet one.
Well, you get used to it, just going out in the rain. Like, hell, it's raining. Let's go.
Well, yeah, you do. We've got these ponchos that we wear. Like, I mean, driving a moped in a monsoon is interesting. Let me tell you. Honestly, it rains so hard here. I always say to my parents, I'm like, if you looked up while it was raining, you could lose an eye, because the raindrops are so big and so heavy and come down so hard. Like you
Yes,
could
they're
hurt
so
you can
massive. That time we
you can
came to
see
visit
it
you,
coming.
yes, you can. You can. It's like a wall coming.
Yes.
I remember that time we came to visit you a few days before we met up with you. We were at one of the markets. It was an indoor market, and it started to rain, and we wanted to go outside, and it poured. I mean,
Mm.
raindrops the size of your thumb almost. It was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
big. And then
yeah.
and then it like flooded so quick. Like it was above your
Yes,
ankles before you knew it. And I was like, oh
yes.
my gosh.
The drainage is so bad. That's the problem. So that's it. I remember standing, we were waiting for like a car, a taxi or something to get in. And I could see the rain coming from the end of the road. I was like, it's coming, it's coming.
Hurry up.
It was like something out of a horror movie, but you can actually see it and hear it coming. Yeah.
Wow.
But if you're on a motorcycle, if you're on a moped, when this happens, again, you can see you driving into it. So what happens is like all of a sudden, and I just wait for the locals. That's what I do. I just like watch and learn. So as soon
Mm-hmm.
as I see them starting to like pull up on the side of the road and get their ponchos out their boots of their bikes, I do the same thing. So I'm like, they know. It's like instinct. And then you
Yeah.
put it on and you make sure you've got a visor on your helmet,
Yeah.
because you do not want to have a bare face when you are driving at 40 kilometers an hour
Get a thumb in
in
the eye.
rain. You do not. It's so sore. It stings.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and on you go. On you charge. And you hope like hell you don't go through a long puddle section of the road that's lower than the other sections. And if you do, you really hope the person in front of you doesn't stop. Because if they stop, that means you stop. That means your exhaust gets water up it, and then you are tickets done, goner. You are pushing that back the rest of the way.
Oh, how horrible. Oh, God.
I know it's quite stressful, but anyway, I mean, it's also part of life. That's a big, big, big part of living in Vietnam, is like the rain and the floods for sure.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. Lesser known areas. Wow. What areas do you think people know about?
Well, they probably know about Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh or Saigon.
Yeah. Penang, Hoi An, they'll know about that. So yeah, there's I'm trying to think now. Little bit. So Nha Trang is a lovely, also it's quite a large city, beach coastal city. But just south of that, is that south? I mean, it could be north. Anyway, it's in that vicinity of the country. The little beautiful little coastal town called Queenon. So stunning.
Queenon.
Queenon, yeah, Quynhon. Beautiful part of the country to visit. For the beach and the coast and stuff. You can camp there. You can stay in stunning hotels. Like there's quite a variety of different types of accommodation. And then up north, far north, you've got Sapa, which is the mountainous place that I spoke about. And if you time it right, you could get the green rice paddies or terraced rice paddies or something to see. Great trekking in that area as well. And then even further north, like near the border of China, there's an area called Hajang, which has the Hajang Loop, which is like a section of highway or road that you can travel on your motorbike. And the views are insane. Just so stunning. All mountainous, beautiful landscape. But also the accommodation there's also homestays only. There's no hotel. Like anything is just a homestay. So it's a very different experience to like going to Saigon, for example. You stay with locals, you only see Vietnamese people, you only eat Vietnamese food when you're out there. Like there's no Western anything. So it's a completely different experience. And then just south of Hanoi, there's an area called Ninh Binh, which is not to be confused with the Ninh Binh in Australia. This Ninh Binh is actually where they filmed Skull Island. Skull Island with the Hong Kong, not the Hong Kong, King Kong. It wasn't King Kong though, but it was the big gorilla. Do you know the most recent film? So all of that in the film, that was all filmed in Ninh Binh. So all of that scenery and backdrop and stuff, that was all Ninh Binh. So yeah, you've got those huge limestone casks with like the little streams, and you go on the little skinny boats, and you go and you look at the monkeys and stuff that live on the casks. Yeah, it's pretty insane. I've not been there. And what's also near there is, I think, Mok Chau, and that could be where the caves are, Phung Nai, where like there's those massive caves, like the biggest caves in the world are in Vietnam, and they've got their own ecosystems and stuff. So you could go on a caving adventure, spelunking, I think it's called.
Spelunking.
Splunking,
What is it called?
spelunking.
Something like that.
It's the weirdest word, but it's definitely
Splunking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the north is pretty interesting.
So Vietnam has
cool.
a lot of extreme sports. Spelunking. They have scuba diving, motorcycling,
yeah, scuba
trekking.
diving. In Dalat, you can go canyoning, which is with the waterfalls. You like abseil down waterfalls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done
So a
that.
lot of extreme sports. Have you? How was it?
I'm proud of myself that I did it, but I will never do it again. I did walk around, I think, 2 waterfalls because I was like, no.
Were they too big or something?
They
Why?
were too big. The one was No, yeah, they were both big and they were both full of water. So like the waterfall was pretty massive. And my now husband was then my boyfriend at the time. And he did it. And he even said he was nipping it when he was like, he's like, thank God you didn't do that. Because I was like, I would have just no, I wouldn't, I would have been scarred for life.
Oh,
So yeah,
goodness.
that was pretty massive. I've got a photograph of him like, oh, with the water just smashing in his face. And you've also got to concentrate on like abseiling, which is not fun for me. Abseiling, that's the scary part for me,
What is abseiling?
when you basically walk down the side of a cliff.
Oh, yeah, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're
And
like
then
hugging the wall.
well, no, you've got to like put your feet on the wall. Your feet do all you've got your hands on the rope like that's holding you. Your one hand is under your ass, which basically like lets the rope go, which lets you go down. But then your legs are your steadiers. If your
Oh,
legs go too far above your shoulders, you're going to flip backwards and go head down. But
yeah,
if
you're
your legs are
repelling.
too far down, you're going to just go forward and hit the cliff with your face. So
Yeah.
you've got to like your legs are like your steadiers as you go down.
Yeah, that's repelling, self-repelling.
Something like that.
What did you call
Rap,
it?
maybe you call it rap jumping.
Rap jumping?
It's
I don't
called
know. Maybe there's
abseiling.
names.
Abseiling. Definitely.
Abseiling. I've never heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I've never heard it not being called that. Anyway, so yeah, that's something you can do in Deluxe. There's loads of stuff you can do. Like the kids at secondary school often like go on trips in Vietnam, like as like a, they have their annual trip as a grade,
Yeah.
as a year.
Yeah.
And yeah, they go to the jungle, they go to the mountains. Some of them are going to go to that Hajang Loop that I just mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
but they go and learn about like the wildlife there and things. Like they go learn about the not armadillos. They're not called armadillos. They're Asian. The Asian cousin of an armadillo. My friend is gonna be upset with me if I can't remember what it's called. It's got like pangolin. They go learn about
Pangolin.
the pangolins and the jungle animals and things. So yeah, like it's crazy, like all the different things you can do just in one country. Which is what blew my mind when I came here, because I was just expecting, again, like I said, I didn't know what I was expecting, because I kind of just went for it. Because I do find if I do read too much about something, then I'm just like, I'm going to have somebody's perception on that country. When if I just go myself, I'm going to develop my own perception and
Yeah,
my
and
own idea.
that's one thing I always try to tell people when they ask me about travel and they ask me about things. I'm like, listen, I can give you tips and stuff of where to go and what to do, but
Mm.
don't ask about my perception, because I want you to have your own. I want you to
Yeah.
experience it on your own. And, maybe when you're
Tell
finished
me
with
what
it
you
and you
think.
come back, exactly. Let's have a
Yeah.
conversation and something about it.
Yeah. That's for sure. Because also everyone's different as well. Like not everyone would make it. Like if someone said to me, "Oh, what would you say are the best things to do in Ho Chi Minh or in Vietnam?" I'm like, well, for me, it's going to be a totally different thing
Yeah,
to maybe what you would want to do. Like if you want to
exactly.
go staying in a homestay and like do the Hajang Loop, I'm probably not going to mention that to you first off, because that's not something that I'm going to do now
Right.
in my life, because I can't.
Right.
Um, I'm going to mention like a beach resort or like an area, like a nice beach or something to go to, or a nice restaurant, or, something like that,
Yeah.
or like a fun activity to do with the family.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all depends on where you are and what you're interested in.
Yeah. And I talked with, I was telling you earlier about the Scousa. We were talking
Yeah.
about, we call it, well, I guess it's called the Paris syndrome,
Mm.
where people get this perception, whether it's based on conversation or movies or something else. You get this perception of a place and you think, oh, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be exotic.
Yeah.
It's going to be all
Yes.
this. And you get there and you go, well, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
So to
that was Berlin for me.
Berlin. Okay. Yeah.
So
We
I
all have
had
one.
so many people were on and on about how much they loved Berlin and what a great city it was. And I was like, oh, I'm really stoked and excited about going to Berlin. And it was one of our holidays in Europe in the summer. So we usually do like a few stops, because why not? You're there, you're only there for a short time. So
Yeah.
see as much as you can. So we come from Copenhagen,
Mm.
which is insane and just so stunning and just what a place. What a place. So Copenhagen, loved it, in my element. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to Berlin.
Yeah. Everybody said good things. I can't wait to get
Everybody said
there.
good
Yeah.
things. Oh my gosh, I just couldn't shake the depression out of me. I was just so bummed the whole time I was there. I think it was the whole German war, that whole
Mm.
Hitler thing. It just bummed me out, man. Everything was about that. And I was like, this is just not what I was expecting. So
Paris
yeah, I
syndrome.
had that because I had all of these expectations and
Yeah.
people just went on and on. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
am not feeling these vibes. I am not experiencing this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's traveling, and that's what I kept telling myself when I was in Berlin. I was like, I suppose you can't love everywhere you go. You've got to there's got to be some places in the world that aren't going to be, you know,
Well,
your cup of
absolutely. There
tea.
are going to be places that you don't like, but also when people give you those recommendations, they're doing it out of a good heart.
Of course,
Nobody's
of
going to tell
course,
you to go
of course.
somewhere.
I know, and then I felt so bad afterwards when I was like, and they were all like so keen to hear
You
how
go, I
I
hated
found
it.
Berlin. I was like, um,
Change
ish,
topics.
yeah, maybe I need to go there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically all I can say about Vietnam, really.
That's good. Well, this
Unless
is
you have any other questions.
well, no, this has been fantastic. I mean, there's tons of information in here for people to digest.
Okay.
So as we
Oh,
wrap up,
cool.
let me ask you one more question as we wrap up. Kind of last question.
Okay.
Um, why should people visit or move to Vietnam?
For the experience,
Hmm.
definitely. Just to, well, I suppose, I mean, it depends on where you're coming from, but there's so many different people from different parts of the world that live here. Like if you are a family and you're coming over here, you're going to meet other, I mean, you're 9 times out of 10 going to be working for a company that's going to give you an expat package, which will be provision of school and stuff like that. And your kids are going to go to an international school. They are going to meet kids from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to experience so many different cultures and learn so much about, like just another culture being Vietnam, but then also like meeting other families and other children from all over the world as well. Like you learn about different languages, you just learn so much. Just in my little mum group that I have, that I've just gotten to know over the last 6 months, there's an Irish mum, a South African mum, an Indian mum, an Australian mum, but she's Chinese as well. So she's got like two bits of culture going on there. A French mum, and a German one. That's just in my little mum group.
Wow.
So like my little kitty is going to grow up and he's going to know, like, he's going to know, grow up with, I mean, we do tend to be, intend on being here for another 5 years. So he's going to, he's going to grow up with these little kids. And that's another thing as well. Like I've always thought children who grow up or have time internationally as well, I don't think they will ever see race or see color,
Mm.
because they're not really, it's not really an agenda, it's not really like a,
Right.
a thing, like
Right.
they just see children, they don't see, they don't see difference, you know what I mean? And I
No,
just
they
think that
see
that's
people
hopefully
for the human
the
aspect.
people, yeah. They don't have any stigmas attached to them. Like, and I can safely say this because my husband teaches in the high school and the secondary, so it's not just like I think I know what I'm talking about when it's small children. It runs all the way through to teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
They just see friends, they just see mates, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really hoping that that's the future for the world, because you know it's really getting old now, this racism thing. I'm just like, okay, let's just let that one go. And then that was a bit deep. Um, but what else? The weather's amazing. You know, like if you over like cold, dreary, drabby weather wherever you are, Canada, England, Sweden, somewhere there, you know, like you might want to move to a place that's always warm.
Yeah, if you
You know,
want
have
to.
the
Yeah,
eternal
Vietnam.
summer. Yeah, if that's something you want to do. It's so easy to okay, also post COVID, when you can travel again, it's so easy to travel from Vietnam to the rest of Southeast Asia. So easy. You can even get to Australia in 10 hours. You know,
Wow.
so it's so simple. I mean, if I want to go to Thailand for a weekend, I can.
Yeah, it's that
If I want to go
close.
to
Yep.
Thailand, if I want to go to like see my friend in Phuket for like one of the holidays for a week, I can. Easy, no problem. One flight, I'm there, direct to Phuket. So,
Yeah.
and I know, and in Korea, I always struggled with that because it's a bit of a mission to get to places. And
Yeah.
it's expensive as well, whereas here it's affordable. It's not that expensive to fly internationally because they are so close.
Yeah, so
Um,
like a
yeah.
quick flight to Thailand or Cambodia or somewhere,
Mm,
what's an average
yeah.
cost?
Let me get back onto my little currency calculator.
Yeah.
Let's say, yeah.
I can't imagine they'd be too expensive.
No.
$100 to 200, $300. Probably not even that much.
Like an expensive flight, like a decent, like also because that also depends on the times and stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
fly. $130 return.
See, wow. Super
Yeah. So
cheap.
like Thailand or Malaysia, Singapore, um, I'm trying to think. Cambodia, yeah, definitely Cambodia as well. So yeah, it's
That's
really
awesome.
affordable and easy to travel to. So I think if you know if also if families want to travel here, oh, do it, because it's so cheap. It's so cheap here in Vietnam. To hire a car for a family to get from A to B is simple. Um, you know, domestic flights are really affordable.
Mm-hmm.
They are, I'll tell you how much they are internally. A domestic flight from here to the most expensive flight is from here to Hanoi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is $65 return.
Return,
Yeah.
which is, a
Um,
night at the bar for some people.
exactly. So that's a return flight. They've got like in Vietnam, they do have overnight buses as well for the more
Mm-hmm.
younger
Yep.
part
Yep.
that you can actually like there's space for you to actually lie down in and sleep. So
Wow.
I've done the odd overnight bus. Um, totally fine, totally comfortable. And there's also trains here as well that you could take. It'll take you some time to get from A to B, but it's an experience
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well,
they
you
are.
know.
Trains are always an experience.
Yeah. I have not done one in Vietnam though.
What, 6 years and you haven't done a train?
I know.
Do you
We
even
were
live
hoping
there?
to get the train now from Hanoi to Sapa because that's normally you get the overnight train.
Mm-hmm.
But because of COVID, they've restricted the times that it goes, and it doesn't coincide with when we plan to go. So we're just gonna get a private car. But yeah, I want to do a train before I leave here. It's like on my bucket list for sure.
Wow.
Just to have that little experience. Yeah.
Good.
And yeah, it's easy to get around. Most people speak English here, so you don't need to know Vietnamese. You can also, that's also something that's quite different for me from living in Korea. You can read the script. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
and so in Korea, good luck when you land. That was a shock for me when I landed in Korea for the very first time. I was like, whoa, I did not think about this. I can't read a thing. But at
Yep.
least here you can make an effort like is to like try sound something out or like make an attempt to say like pronounce something. Which if you speak French, well then you are A for away because they speak a lot of French here as well. And yeah, I knew more Korean in my 4 years of living there than I do of Vietnamese living here.
Is that because English is everywhere?
Yeah. English is everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Wow.
And I'm lazy.
Well, I tell you, those are some fantastic tips that people, a lot of people, I see Vietnam as being like Korea 10, 15 years ago. Like it's on the up and up. And I think
It definitely is.
I think a lot of people are going to become expats and possibly move to Vietnam or travel for a long period of stay. So those are some great tips for everybody.
Well, I hope so. I hope that helps people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we're hoping to be here for another 5 years, and that would make it, or maybe no, another 4 years. 5 would be including this year, so that would make it 10 years for us in Vietnam. How many years have you been in Korea now?
I'm on my 11th now.
Goodness gracious me.
Yep. Wow. Can't believe it.
No, it's gone so fast.
It's way too fast.
So fast.
It's a blink of an eye now. So.
Do you think you'll ever leave?
Yeah, we've talked. Yeah, we're talking about it because we want kids to get into other schools and stuff. So we've talked about it. So,
okay.
But we'll see what happens after this post-COVID pandemic and see how things work out. We'll see where we end up.
Hopefully it'll be fun soon. Yeah, goodness.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me there.
No, this has been fantastic. Thank you. And I'm sure our listeners are going to say thanks as well for all the fantastic information.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that being said, listeners, thank you for tuning in. This is your host, Jeff Hatter, signing off. Yoruba Travel. See you later.